Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to WD18, the Watford fan channel. Welcome to another match reaction. It's finished Preston 0, Watford 1 at Deepdale. A big 3 points for Watford. That's now back-to-back wins. Bristol City, Preston, two big wins, but we did it in two different ways. We'll be discussing that on the match reaction today. Before we do get into it, please do leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel for more Watford content. Let's get straight into it. Sam, first off, reactions to that one, mate. You were really happy with the performance and the result as well.
Really happy with all of it. I thought it was really disciplined. We saw a completely different side to our game to what we saw on Saturday. Really got stuck in tonight and ground out the result. And if you're going to go up automatically or through the playoffs, that's exactly what you need. Perhaps a bit of luck through getting the João Pedro penalty, which was a stonewall penalty, but you need that bit of luck to get the penalty. But generally, from that point onwards, we never looked like conceding and we were in complete control of the game. And I'm buzzing with it. I mean, we'll talk about it a bit more later on, but I thought it was a better win than on Saturday.
Yeah, it's an interesting angle on that, Elliot. But it was two different Watford performances. I think I tweeted out Bristol City. We blew them away from the first 5 minutes, but today it was a difficult first 45. We were just maybe lacking that cutting edge in the final third, and the second half to get that penalty. How impressed were you with the Watford performance today?
Well, we looked by far the better side, and although there were little moments where we could have done a bit more or we could have got into better attacking positions, it would have been nice to get a goal before half-time. That never really happened, but they were quite clearly scared of us. They looked like they didn't really know how to handle a lot of our players, and we sort of just played our game. Like Sam said, we did need a bit of luck, and to be honest, I would have liked to see a score from open play to sort of symbolise that we've maybe beaten the away duck and we've even learn how to break down these teams that are so defensive and so difficult to play against. So I think to get a goal from open play would have been really nice, but you can't complain at that. And like Sam said, stonewall penalty, great penalty from João Pedro as well. And we responded to going one goal up very well, which is something that I've knocked Watford for many times this season. I think we've sometimes handled it quite badly when we've gone 1-0 up. We've maybe gone a bit too defensive or many different things we've done after going 1-0 up. So overall, very pleased with that performance. And I can understand where Sam's coming from with the bigger than the 6-0 win on the weekend, but I'm not sure.
Go on, Sam. What do you mean by that?
It's a difficult one. Obviously, I think it was more pretty on the eye watching it on Saturday. Obviously, blowing any team away 6-0, whether it's a Sunday League or whether it's in the Championship or the Champions League, it's amazing to watch your team do that. However, I just thought today we saw a side to Watford that we haven't really seen this season. I know we've scraped a couple of games 1-0 thanks to penalties, and we've had a couple of away wins where we've scraped it 1-0. But today, I just thought throughout the whole game, I thought we were always just in control comfortably, and not that we weren't on Saturday, but I just feel like when you get promoted, because you're not going to blow teams away 6-0 every week, because as we said, they like to sit in a lot of the time against us. It's about showing that grit and determination, effort and desire. And the application of that today was superb and arguably better than Saturday's. We had to persist and stay in there to get that goal and see out the win, which is why I think I can see both sides of the argument, but I just think today was better and will serve us better in the long run in terms of confidence.
Yeah, it is really good to get an away win. I think particularly as we struggled so much away from home, and Preston made it difficult for us. And I think I tweeted out again, I thought that was a compliment to us. That's how they felt best to stop us. They went really deep, really compact with a 5 at the back formation, and it was clear from about minute 5 that they were going to make it difficult for us. Elliot, for you, the standouts today, maybe not the easiest performance on the eye, but there were certainly some good performances, I thought, through the team. But was any in particular players that stood out for you today?
It's difficult to stand out as attacking players when you're playing against such a defensive side, but I thought both wingers were impressive. I was happy with them. And I think João Pedro played pretty well. I think he was quite limited at times with what he could do. He didn't get much of the ball, but I think what he did was pretty good. And his movement to win the penalty was fantastic as well. I think the midfield three are all on the same page, which is absolutely fantastic. It's exactly what we need. I think Hughes was brilliant again. Cleverley, I'm sure Sam will go into it because he was delighted in the chat that we had a bit before with how well Tom Cleverley played. And I'm so happy with the fullbacks at the moment. It feels so good to have such good fullbacks at the club. And Adam Messina and Kiko Femenira just were so good. And I was really happy with their performances today as well.
Yeah, I think the fullbacks, particularly down the right hand side, Sam, that link up between Kiko and Sol, we've talked about it so much on the channel, but those two guys link up so well. I think from my point of view, I'll let you talk about Tom Cleverley and give your appraisal to him. But for me at the back today, Francisco Sierralta was absolutely superb. Maybe had a shaky moment in the first 10 minutes, but apart from that, I thought him and Craig Cathcart did really well. But Sierralta is just, I mean, he's gone from strength to strength in this Watford side since he's got in the team. He's made that spot his own, and arguably he's been our best centre-back this season. But for you, Sam, on Tom Cleverley, he just seems to always, he's so consistent with his performances, and once again, he was needed tonight and he performed.
I've always said about this, and this is why I also think tonight was better, that in the Championship, it doesn't matter the quality of players you've got in the team. You know, we've got some players who really should be Premier League players in there, but it doesn't count for anything unless you've got the grit, determination and desire. And that is embodied within Tom Cleverley, because he's not the greatest player in the world. He's probably not the most talented player in the Watford squad, but you can easily say he is the one who wants it the most. You can tell he wants to go up, and you can tell by the way he runs about the pitch after everything in the 93rd minute, chasing balls down, that he wants this so desperately. And he's playing with the fitness of an 18-year-old who's just broken through. And he's peaking at the moment, and he's doing so well. And I feel like he sets a precedent for the rest of the team. It doesn't matter how talented you are in this side. If you're not going to show the same effort and determination that I am, we're not going up in this league. And I think it was a proper captain's performance today. It's a shame to see Troy out, but it's a perfect stand-in terms of Tom Cleverley to show leadership to the side today. And I could go on for hours about how good Tom Cleverley was today. I think he's emerging as well. I think Kiko will probably win our Player of the Season award, but he's emerging as well as one of the front runners too.
Yeah, he's been brilliant, hasn't he, Elliot? I think, every time we see Tom, you always know what he's going to get from him. You always know what you're going to get from him, regardless of how well he actually does play, if you know what I mean. You know he's going to put in 100%. You know he's going to have real desire and work rate, as Sam mentioned. But again, today, he was excellent. As Nick says, so much better in a 3. Doesn't have to worry about leaving a void in behind and can press high up the pitch. It does seem like, particularly Cleverley, really does benefit from playing a 3 in midfield.
Yeah, I think Nick's spot on there. The fact that he's got the support of Chalobah and Hughes there as well means that he can afford to press high up. And he does fight for it non-stop. It's quite fun to see, just particularly as a spectator, to watch him fight for the ball like that. And it's the sort of thing the fans will love more than anything, to see someone really going for every loose ball, just trying everything.
He enjoys it. He enjoys the dirty side of the game as well. Yeah, he likes just getting his sleeves up. Yeah.
And I think that definitely endears himself to the fans as well. And it was another fantastic performance today. He's playing out with skin at the moment, and I think he's in with a shout for Player of the Season if he keeps this up, because to do that and to have the role of captain as well, which I think he's taken on perfectly. On Deeney being out, I can understand fans' frustrations with Deeney this season, but the criticism that he received today on the news that he was injured, I was baffled by the fact that people were celebrating his injury and hoping he was out for longer than he may be. I just can't believe it, but that's probably a separate issue. But back on Tom Cleverley, just fantastic. And being in that midfield 3 looks the most comfortable I've probably seen him in a Watford shirt. And you can see he really values being captain, and he doesn't take it lightly. He leads the team by example. Yeah,
and as you said, although Cleverley's come in really well, I think if anyone's celebrating Troy's injury, then they need to have a look at themselves, in all honesty. I think that's incredibly disrespectful. And I think, serious question needs to be asking yourself if you're kind of wishing an injury on someone, or if that you're kind of celebrating the fact. On behalf of everyone here, we wish Troy a speedy recovery. We hope to see him back on the pitch soon. Hopefully his recovery process goes to plan. Just wanted to, before, I think Pete says, before we get carried away on the Cleverley train, we went another away game without being able to score from open play, Sam. He's just trying to be realistic. Does he have a point there, Pete?
Yeah, I think it is. But, I think at this point in the season, first of all, I think it's so important that we get the results. And it's coming to that point where it doesn't really matter. Like, we could say at the start of the season, it's going to come back to bite us later on. But we're getting to that point now where, regardless of 3 points or 3 points, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how we get them, as long as we get them. But I do think that we can't get too carried away with it. As good as I thought the performance was, I've spoken about it already. I think we have to do more to create more. I think we need to have that creative spark against those teams that sit back And I think it'll be a really good kind of learning experience for Cisco Munoz now as well, as a young coach who's kind of going to be experiencing these teams who play a low block for the first time. And it'll be really interesting to see what he comes up with, considering we're probably going to face the same against Derby on Friday night, maybe against Blackburn, less so with Bournemouth. But we'll have more of those games coming up this season. So we need to learn how to respond to them.
Yeah, Elliot, just fire that over to you. Is it just a case of maybe just, despite it being a brilliant win tonight, 2 wins on the bounce, we've done it in different circumstances. Is it just about maybe taking each game as it comes now? Because as we said, I know we say it every time, but we've got a busy period. We've got Derby, Blackburn, Bournemouth, and you feel like those 3 next fixtures are really crucial. So despite the two wins, is it just a case of keeping our feet on the ground?
Yeah, in a way. I think with what Sam said, I think he's right about playing against teams with a low block. And we saw it in the reverse fixture against Derby, how strong they were defensively, even with the problems that they had at the time. I think they've turned a corner a bit since then. And we had to rely on a João Pedro wonder goal at that point. We've had to rely on penalties and other games to try and get a win against these defensive sides. We've not really grinded out a win against a defensive side effectively with goals from open play all season. So that is something, that's the next step, I think, for Watford in their hunt for promotion. Against Blackburn and Bournemouth, I think it would be a separate issue because they're both fairly attacking teams. They'll go at you on the front foot. But yeah, we can't get too carried away with it. There are still flaws in the squad, but if we just look at this game in isolation, I'm very happy with the result. I think the performance was good against a side that really were out to frustrate us, and we came out of it with 3 points. So that's nothing to turn our noses up at. So yeah, really happy with that.
I just feel like though as well that we can't get carried away, but because it's kind of, people will be saying that this is kind of similar to other games away that we've had this season, like it was against Birmingham away when we won 1-0. But I feel like this one was just different today. I don't know whether it's because of the positivity after the 6-0 win, but also I just thought the game plan was executed perfectly and we just looked comfortable throughout the entire game. So while we can't get too carried away, I did think that was a massive improvement there, even though we didn't score from open play.
Do you think it's the fact, Sam, that we had that 6-0 win and we probably thought to ourselves, this is just a one-off, but we've actually backed it up with an away win, and the manner in which we've done it and grinded it out and done it in a different way? I know we've won a couple of games this season where we have ground it out, but I think tonight, after maybe the last game, beating Bristol City 6-0 in quite a convincing fashion, today we had to do it differently. Is that maybe the positive for you, that we've done it in different circumstances today?
Yeah, exactly. It's showing our promotion credentials, because I'll say it time and time again, you kind of have two sides to the Championship. You have teams where you can blow them away 4, 5, 6-0, as we saw on Saturday, but you have the teams as well that you need to kind of persist with it, be patient and wait for your opportunity to score. And the fact that we've now kind of shown through two difficult tests, two different tests, and tonight was a very difficult game, I thought, that we can get through it, I think sets a precedent for the rest of the season and shows that this Watford side can do it. I mean, I mentioned this on Saturday, Jacob, that, when you're playing devil's advocate, you sometimes said perhaps these players aren't as good as we kind of thought they are. Well, the last few games, they have shown that they are as good as they kind of
play in the right system.
Themselves up. Yeah, they have to play in the right system, obviously, and that's where it comes down to the manager. And I assume we'll talk more about how Cisco set up in the substitutions, but I also thought he nailed it tonight as well. I thought.
Yeah, go on, mate. What you were going to say about Cisco? Well, you thought he got it spot bang on again tonight.
I just thought that he kind of sensed that it wasn't going to be the same game as against Bristol City, obviously not, and that we couldn't come necessarily flying out the blocks away from home on a difficult pitch, a ground we're unfamiliar on. And he sensed that with the game, with the sense that let's just look to control the game. In the first half, we came out with 65% of the ball. Let's just try and kind of ride through any storm that Preston bring on us, that we did as well. They missed a few good chances. And then when our opportunity comes, we'll get there. And also his substitutions as well, I just thought were bang on. Dan Gosling was superb when he came on.
Really good.
Philip Zinckernagel, we'll talk about that later on. He wasn't great, but he got a couple of really important nicks in there as well, where he just took the ball off the Preston players. Was that it for the subs? I can't remember.
I think it was. I have to be honest.
Perizza.
Yeah, Perizza came on. I don't think he got a touch of the ball, to be fair.
Yeah.
I was surprised that he didn't bring on a centre-back when it was at 1-0 and we were kind of on the back foot. I think that was maybe, it was very ballsy. It showed cojones.
It did. I did think, though, I think they mentioned it, John Marks and Tommy Mooney on the commentary, that I think he had in the back of his mind that if Preston come out and press us, then we can hit them on the break with our pace. And we had a really good chance to do that. I don't know if you remember when Zinkernagel was free and it was like 5 of us against
Yeah, we've got to be
2 of
putting
them.
that away. Yeah.
And Zinkernagel like scuffed the ball or something. And that was really poor. And we have to put those chances away to seal the win. And I think we would see a lot more positivity from that win if we'd scored that goal from open play on the break. But I generally thought we got it bang on tonight, and it was our best away performance this season.
Yeah, would you go as far as say that, Elliot, in terms of, would you agree with Sam, best away performance this season? It's big shout. I mean, the bar isn't that high from the amount of points we picked up on
There's
the road.
More to come. There's still more to come. That's the good thing as well.
Yeah,
that's true. Go on, Elliot. Do you agree with that statement?
Like you say, there's the nominees aren't exactly fantastic, so it's a difficult one. It's that or Stoke, really, isn't it? So yeah, I think we looked the most like we'd stuck to a game plan. We looked like we knew what we were doing, which is more than you can say for many away games this season.
Yeah,
and
agree.
We just looked like we were playing I've said a few times, and it doesn't necessarily make complete sense, but we do need to sort of play as if we're going to play our way, and it doesn't matter what the opposition does because our way is going to win. And I think we did tonight. We didn't really care what threat they posed to us. We dealt with it because we know we're a good football team, and then we attacked in our own way. We have our system that we've set out, and it did just look like they were trying to beat Watford rather than Watford were trying to beat Preston. It did just feel like it was Watford's game from minute one, and that's the best thing that we can say about it, that it was Watford's game always, and we controlled it from minute one, and completely deserved the win at the end of it. So probably the best away performance of the season so far, because it will get better from here.
Before we look at the bigger picture, Sam, in terms of our league standing and where that puts us, just going back onto tonight, we had a little talk off camera, and we said Daniel Bachmann again just looked really comfortable, the way he commanded his area, his distribution. I think his kicking's a big thing for me. He's really, really good kicking. But it just seems there's a calmness at the back now with Daniel Bachmann. I don't know if you wanted to touch on him there.
Yeah, I was watching Monday Night Football last night, and I remember Gary Neville was saying, because Chelsea bought Kepa in last night over Mendy, and Gary Neville was saying the worst position to change is the goalkeeper because, defenders have questions in their mind. Can you trust him? And I think perhaps those questions were there at the start, but I think Daniel Bachmann has answered them now, and the defence completely trust him. They allow him to come out and catch balls. They trust him to give them the ball at their feet with his distribution. There was one in the first half where he completely cleared out Foster. Not Foster. He cleared out
Cathcart. Yeah, he wasn't happy, was he?
Yeah, and he just seems to be brewing with confidence as well. I know he said after Man United in the cup, where he perhaps thought it was just going to be a one-off game with him in goal, that this is my opportunity now to make himself number one. And I did kind of feel like it was going to be his last chance at Watford, because otherwise he would have gone out to look for first team football. But for me, he's my number one now. Even when Foster comes back, I'd have Bachmann in goal, just because I think generally, even if Foster's a better shot stopper, I don't think we've seen Bachmann have too many proper saves to make. But Bachmann's all-round game is better and serves better for the whole team. Yeah,
exactly. And we've got to look long term now, haven't we, in the goalkeeper department. He's 26, isn't he, Daniel Bachmann? And Foster's obviously an aging keeper. I think he knows that as well. I'd imagine there's probably a situation there where Daniel Bachmann's probably looking long term, going, this is my spot now, this is mine to keep. Elliot, I just wanted to touch on, I think we mentioned, I dropped Sierralta in the conversation, but just the back two today. It was interesting from Cisco to drop Troost-Ekong, bring in Craig Cathcart. I'd imagine it was to maintain fitness, but to not bring in Ben Wilmot, he brought in Craig Cathcart. What did he make of that call? And I think maybe the first 10 to 15 minutes, the two centre-backs looked a little shaky on the ball, maybe because there was maybe a slight maybe not lack of movement, but at times it was difficult for them. But for you, the two centre-backs, and what did you make of Cisco's call to bring in Cathcart?
Yeah, I think it's a tactical one. Troost-Ekong's played a lot of games consistently now, so it seems natural. And I don't think it disrupts the chemistry of the team. I don't think it disrupts the flow of the team, particularly to swap and bring in Cathcart. He's a very professional player, very good player, and I don't think anyone was really complaining when he came in. Yeah, he's clearly got the experience. He's played in the Championship a lot, and even this season, before his injury, he played a lot. He was a mainstay in the team, so I wasn't really complaining about bringing him in. He had a couple of shaky moments, but I think that was just getting back into the flow of things. So after that, I thought he was pretty good. I think it's a difficult one to think about on Friday, what he would do, because I think Ben Wilmot must be frustrated on the bench. he must be wondering what he needs to do to get a start, because he's been coming off the bench and playing pretty well when he has been on. And he's one of the most talented centre-backs we have at the club. I'd put him in the top 2, maybe top 3. So I don't know what else he can do to get into the starting 11, but it may be just that when Sierralta is rotated, and I do think Sierralta's been absolutely fantastic. And
been class, yeah.
If he... We say a lot about Kiko being great and about Cleverley being great, but if Sierralta had been in the team from the start of the season and had played to that standard, he would be our player of the season by a country mile.
Absolutely.
And I do wonder how things would be different if Vladimirovic had given Sierralta a bit more of a chance, because he is just such a fantastic defender with his feet and in the air, and just I can't believe Vladimirovic didn't look at him.
Do you know what? In all fairness to Ivic, I think Sierralta played one cup game. I can't remember if it was the Oxford or away, the game, and he was really poor. He was really poor in that one.
I think everyone was like.
Yeah, I don't know if it's anything to go by, but perhaps that's why Cisco wasn't too keen on bringing him in.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
I think Batman was the only good player in that game.
He was so good.
I think Sema was okay as well, but even though we won that game against Oxford, we were poor, and then against Newport we were even worse. So it's difficult when comparing with the cup game. I do get your point though. He wasn't great in the EFL Cup.
Sam, I just wanted to touch on a point raised by a number of fans in terms of whether this Watford side has clicked now. 2 games, 7 goals scored, 0 conceded. Do you think it's clicked?
I think it's getting there. I don't think it's clicked. I think it's in the process of clicking. I'm seeing people on the chat now saying that they're going to go down to the bookies and us on winning the league. I wouldn't go that far yet, because I think we're a long way off still. Brentford and Swansea, I still don't think we'll go up automatically. But I feel like it is slowly getting there with this Watford side. We found our best formation now. I think we've pretty much found our best set of personnel. I think you could argue about who the best centre half is, maybe in terms of the fullbacks, or even whether Chalobah or Gosling in the middle. But I think we found kind of the winning formula now that's going to serve us well for the rest of the season. And if we carry on like this, then I think everything will click into place, and we'll start seeing away wins like we saw tonight and home wins like we saw against Bristol City, hopefully.
Yeah, is that the same for you, Elliot, in terms of clicking? Probably slightly early. I think Sam's right in that respect. It's probably slightly early to say it's clicked, but surely now we can all take confidence from the last 2 games. The manner in which we've done it, as I said, polar opposites in the sense that we blew Bristol City away. Preston, it was a much more of a cagey affair, but we kind of grinded it out. But are we in the process of seeing this Watford team click now? It's taken 29 games, but is it starting to click for you?
Yeah, I think so. If it's by position, maybe if it clicks in that way, I'm not sure how it exactly works in a championship team, but I think the defence has clicked for a while now, as we've seen with the defensive record. I think the
midfield's clicked now as well.
As of the weekend has clicked too. It's not a criticism to say the attack hasn't clicked yet, but I don't think it's at its best, and I don't think there's a complete connection between every single one of those attackers. But they are all very good players, and they're all playing very well. So I don't think we're far off seeing the whole team click and start working together and building up these results and building up a run of wins or just an unbeaten run. Because if we do that, we can put pressure on the top 2, which is 2 weeks ago would have sounded absolutely ridiculous, but it's possible now.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very fair point. Just to, maybe not to bring on downer on the win, Sam, but maybe the only concern I have from tonight is maybe the lack of clear-cut chances we created in the final third. Obviously the goal didn't come from open play, but we did struggle in the final third. Is that down to the way we played? I think we probably could have still done more, but is it more the way Preston set up and the way they limited our opportunities?
I think it's a bit of both. I can't, just thinking about it now, I can't really think off the top of my head of an open chart, of a clear chance we made from open play. We mentioned that Zinkernagel chance at the end. Sema had a good chance in the first minute, which I thought he should have shot from. But I think it's a bit of both. I think they made it really, really difficult. Kind of, you could tell that they were trying to pack out the 6-yard box, and kind of from the penalty spot, they tried to get men around the ball and kind of smother it away from us. So that made it difficult for us. But again, if I'm saying that this Watford team are going to progress and fully click into gear, because still, as I said, I think we're in the process of clicking.
Yeah.
It's about finding solutions to those problems. We see these top teams who are able to, it's not even about winning 1-0, just able to find a way through these teams who just put 11 men behind the ball. And if we are going to take it to that next level in our promotion push, then we have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another big positive for me, Sam and Elliot, is, we were pretty comfortable defending. We were organised, but we were looking to create. And despite maybe that angle that some people are having, saying that we didn't create a lot, we were looking to create. And I think that's only a positive. Anyway, in terms of for you, Elliot, just a bigger picture for Watford this season, we're going to cross over to some player ratings in just a moment to assess everyone's individual performances. But I'd imagine there'll be some 7 or 8s in there. That's probably the bar Watford have set tonight with their performances. I mentioned 29 games. We've actually played 30 games. We're on 54 points. Brentford and Norwich have played 29. So they've got a game in hand. Brentford with 57, Norwich with 58. But then we've also got Swansea, who have 3 games in hand on us and are 1 point behind. So in terms of the wider context of this season, are you starting to believe that we can maybe push back into the automatic spots? It's quite difficult to say at the moment, but certainly the confidence for me has improved that we can maybe give it a good go towards the end of the season. Are you still kind of quite balanced with it and quite calm, or are you starting to believe now that we can give the automatic top 2 a good go?
At the risk of sounding like a cliched manager, I think it is just literally taking it.
Wait, is that Cisco mood off?
Yeah, maybe
You know your mates with him, Elliot.
I think we've seen Brentford lost on the weekend to Barnsley. Of course, Barnsley are a very good side and they're in pretty good form at the moment. But I think that shows that Brentford bleed. Swansea aren't perfect. They've clearly got flaws. Norwich have looked shaky at the back in recent weeks. So there is room to maybe sneak in there at some point, but we do need to just take every game as it comes. If we say we win against Derby, okay, great. Say we get another win against Blackburn, great. And then we pick up a point against Bournemouth, then we were in a really good run of form. And we're probably not far off the top 2 at that point. So it is just taking every game as it comes, making sure that we pick up the wins where we should be getting the wins. So like today, it could have easily been a 0-0 draw, but it wasn't. We got the win and we got the result we deserve, which we haven't necessarily got this season at points. So it's about getting the points that we deserve in the games that we deserve. And then maybe in 2 months' time, we're towards the top 2. I don't think we'll get automatic promotion, but if we give it our best shot, then we get 3rd and then we'll have a stab at the playoffs.
Yeah,
Jacob, as well. You said after the 0-0 draw against Coventry that if we are going to take automatic promotion seriously now, we need to go on an 8-game winning run, or perhaps get a point at Bournemouth and win the others. And, 2 out of 2 so far, and 2 very different sorts of performances, I think will serve us really well in the run we've got coming up before a really difficult run in that I don't want to keep on bringing it back to it. But if we're going to be in a good position coming into that run in, we have to win our next, I think 10 to 12 games are absolutely huge for us now, where we probably need to be winning all of them except for maybe 1 or 2. So really good start to kind of, our automatic promotion credentials.
Yeah, and I think also a really good point here from Michael is the good thing is we're actually looking up rather than about worrying about missing out on the playoffs. I think we all were maybe at one point thinking, could we slip out the playoffs here? Maybe after Coventry.
We'll be fine now.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine now. So that's the kind of consensus of us 3 on tonight's performance. It's a busy fixture period for Watford. We've got another game on Friday. If you haven't been bored of the sound of our own voices, you'll hear us again on Friday night after Derby. But before we do that, we're going to head over to some player ratings. So thank you to all of you who watched tonight. So many of you getting involved. And our numbers have been brilliant recently. So if you can support the channel, it'll be massively appreciated. Make sure you go and follow Elliot and Sam on their socials. Follow WD18 at WD18fan. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and we'll see you in a moment for some player ratings.